Greetings, Geezer Dave here. I'd like to take a couple of minutes and talk to you about my e-bike. This is a specialized Turbo Creo SL comp carbon bike, which I've had for about a year and a half. I put it in service in February of 2001, and just this last week I completed 4,000 miles. Most bike reviews are either done by a tech who's riding it for the first time or by a new owner riding it for the first time, and they don't really get into what it's like to own a bike and what does it do for you. So I'd like to spend a couple of minutes talking to you about why an e-bike, and then we can go into particulars of this bike and what I've learned in the 4,000 miles that I've used it. I've been riding bikes recreationally for over 30 years, and I've had a number of bikes. I was never particularly fast or strong, but I've always enjoyed it recreationally. And as I got older and older, I noticed I used to be able to keep my average ride time speed to 14 to 15 miles an hour. But as I crossed my 72nd birthday, my time started to drip. And in 2000, I was 75 years old, and my average times were 11 and 12 miles an hour on my rides. I was only riding 10, 15 miles. So I was not enjoying cycling at all, and so I began to look into the possibility of an electric bike. I didn't want a cruiser with a big battery on it or some of the strange balloon tires. I wanted to still ride a road bike, which is why I was interested in the specialized bike. It's a, as you can tell, it's a real road bike. It's not designed to be anything else. It's basically a high-end carbon fiber bike that had a motor and batteries added to it. And my ride times now, I'm riding 25 and 30 miles, and my average times are between 16 and 18 miles an hour. So I'm back to really enjoying cycling, and if I hadn't bought this bike, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be cycling anymore. So last month I turned 77 years old, and I'm still riding. I can keep up with my son and my sons-in-law when they go biking, which is something I was never able to do. So it's been a great experience. The first year I rode the bike, I spent a lot of time exploring what each of the modes offered. There's 3 modes on this bike: Eco, Sport, and Turbo, and each of them add different levels of power. And so what I did the first year was I would do half of my loop in Eco and then fire up the Turbo and ride home, which is great fun to be able to cruise at 20 to 24 miles an hour and pass all the young people on their bikes. So I really enjoyed that the first year. This year I've concentrated much more on conditioning. So I do 85 to 90% of my rides in Eco mode and ride for heartbeat rather than speed. So I try to monitor my heart rate to be in aerobic or threshold pretty much the whole ride, and that gets me the conditioning that I would like to have. So it's a great experience. I recommend it for everybody, particularly of folks either with advanced age and losing muscle mass like I experienced, or if you just don't have the strength to keep up with people. This is a great alternative. I purchased the bike in February 2021 from the Bountiful Bike Store in Kaysville, Utah. I paid $6,500 for the bike. I think you can get them a little bit cheaper now, but put it in service there in February, and it's been a gem ever since. So let's take a tour of the bike. The bike is a Specialized Turbo Creo SL Comp Carbon. It was originally designed as a road bike first. You can tell by the geometry and configuration it is a high-end carbon road bike that they've designed to integrate a battery and a motor in. And it's an exceptional piece of equipment, and we can take a tour and I can show you the things that I've done to it to make it better for me. The heart of the e-bike is in this little black box here, integrated into the bike. It's a SL 1.1 motor, which generates up to 250 watts of power. Some of the big mountain bikes, they're well over 700 or 800. So this is designed, the Specialized tagline is "You Only Faster." So this provides assistance only when you're pedaling, and there's no throttle, so you have to put your effort in, and then the motor adds to it, and it does that very nicely. I have speed play pedals. I've been using those for a lot of years. I find them very easy to get in and out of, and they work quite well. The chain ring on this bike is a 46, and the cassette is an 1142 11 speed. So you've got plenty of gear to climb hills between a combination of the gears and which mode you're in. So it's a very well equipped bike, and has all the capability that you need. I purchased the range extender, which is this battery. It increases your battery storage by 50%. So on the display, when I fire it up, I get 150 points on my battery. The battery is $450. And then you have included in that, you get this little rubber band that helps stabilize everything, and you get this special cage that the battery goes in. So those three items are included in your $450 purchase. You also need to purchase for $35 this cable, which integrates the battery into the system of the regular system of the bike. For convenience sake, you can also purchase these Y cables, which is a $60 option. And what that enables you to do is plug both the battery and the main bike, the range extender and the main bike battery in at the same time. So you charge them both fairly rapidly. My rides are normally 30 miles, which I do mostly in eco mode. And when I finish, I've gone from 150 points down to 100 points on my 30-mile rides. One of the items that I've added is this mirror. I mentioned that I had surgery on my neck. I had 3 vertebrae fused, so I don't have a great ability to lift my head up when I'm riding. So this enables me to see behind me, and I couldn't ride without it, because if you're out on the road, you need to be aware of your surroundings, changing lanes, who's coming up on you, and without this, I couldn't ride, because I don't physically have the ability to look behind me. And I would recommend everyone have some kind of a mirror. We're out on the roads, and none of us are going to be racing in the Tour de France, so the extra 3 ounces for that mirror really don't make that much difference. So before your first ride, you have to visit the mission control application and tune your power presets for each of the 3 modes: Eco, Sport, and Turbo. So there are 2 components to it. There's percent support and peak power. Percent support reads from the power meter, and whatever you're producing, it will add 35% more power. And as your effort increases, it will keep adding more power up to that 35% level. Then you have 60 and 100 for the different levels. I played around for probably 2 months before I got this adjusted to where it felt right for me. But you can do with it whatever you want, and that's part of the magic of this bike and this application, is you get to tune whatever power adds you need. So once you get that done, you're ready to ride. This is a representation of the screen in the Mission Control app that you get to track the statistics as you do your ride. So available are speed, distance, cadence, heart rate, elapsed time, and your power meter. And the reminder is, this comes from your smartphone hanging off the front of your bike. And if you're comfortable with that, and these are all the statistics you want, that all works out well. If you need other things, if you're interested in things like grade, for example, that's not available. So if this works for you, you're in business. Here on the top tube of the bike is the on-off switch and control for the shifting. This button that looks like a traditional on-off button, you hold that down and the bike turns on. The blue scale represents the primary bike from the battery. The green scale is the battery range extender. So between those you have a visual of how much battery you have. Above it, where the S is how you shift into different modes. This first circle represents Eco mode. If you push the button, it goes up again, that represents Sport mode, and you push it again, and that's the Turbo mode. So there's several things I'm not real fond of about this. One is I have to remove my hand from my handlebar, find this, and push the button to make it shift. The other thing is that it only goes in one direction. So if I want to go from Eco mode to Turbo mode, I have to go push it twice, and then I push it again to go to the bottom. So it's circular, clockwise kind of thing, and that's the only choice you get. So I'm not terribly fond of that, but that's how you turn the bike on and off. So if you're not thrilled by the idea of, while you're riding, taking your hand off the handlebars, locating this button and pushing it to change gears, there's another option. It's called a Turbo Road Remote for $70. What it does is it locates a button on the underside of the handlebar, which you can push to change modes. You just, while you're riding, you just reach down, hit that button, the modes change. The one on the right here shifts up. There's a corresponding one on the left side that does the downshift. So don't have to take your hand off the bars, just push the button and the gears change. So in my mind, this is a safety feature that I think Specialized should consider just making part of the bicycle package. So out of the box, your option to display ride data is to use the Mission Control application, which has a fair amount of data available, but it requires you to hang your $1,200 smartphone off the front of your bike, which I didn't think was a great idea. So I purchased the TCD display for $90, and this is the information that's available. You have two primary fields, one top, one bottom, and into that you can program various data that's available, such as calories and distance, average, all the things that you might want. But you can only display one at a time in each of these fields. To access the other data, you have to push these buttons, which requires you to take your hand off the handlebar and push, and then this field is always the time, and this field is either battery, cadence, or heart rate. And again, to get to those different ones, you have to push these buttons to cycle through it. So what I use, this is the mode you're in, Eco, Turbo, or Eco, Sport, and Turbo, so you can see visually which mode you're in. And then this field has either battery, heart rate, or cadence. And again, you have to push these buttons to see those different measurements. So I find this to be very limiting and not terribly helpful. This is the Garmin 130 Plus that I purchased for $200 to enable me to get the data ride that I wanted in an easier manner. What's available, you can program as many fields as you want on this. I have this set up for 8 fields, and I can read speed, distance, average speed, heart rate, cadence, grade, timer, and power, which comes from the power meter on the bike. So in one glance, I can get all this information, and I find that much more usable than the TCD display. When the bike was approximately 3 months old, the motor started making some noise. So I worked with Chase, the lead technician there in the Bountiful Bike Store in Kaysville. We took the bike out for a ride, filmed it with the noise. Chase came back and submitted that to Specialized. They warranted a new motor. We put that motor in, and now we're at 4,000 miles and haven't had any issues since, other than the normal adjustments and cleanings. So it's been a great piece of equipment, works as advertised, and I would recommend it to anyone who wants to continuing enjoying biking into their senior years. So that's my bike. I hope you found something useful in all this that I've tried to show you. If you have any positive comments, please leave them. If you have any negative ones, keep them to yourself, because I'm a member of the Geezer Club. I don't have to care about your negative comments. So enjoy. Let me know if there's any comments you'd like to make, and thanks for your time. Bye.